The verse is Hebrews 10:23, let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering. Let us hold fast the profession, that's the word we're looking at, the profession of our faith without wavering. This word profession is the Greek word homologion. The word homo means of the very same kind. The word logion comes from the Greek word logos. When you compound the two words together, this word profession, sometimes translated as the word confession, really means to say the same thing. To say the same thing. But it's not just to agree with someone, but it's really your heart is getting in syncopation with that other person's heart. You feel what they feel, you see what they see, you hear what they hear. You're now in such unity with that other person that your heart and their heart is beating in syncopation, so that now from the heart, not just from the head, not just from the mouth, but from the heart, you speak a declaration of faith, which is really, really powerful. It doesn't just come from your mouth, it doesn't just come from your head, it comes from your heart. Now, many people don't understand confession. They think it's just saying what somebody else says. Like years ago, I attended a meeting where a man gave a testimony and said that just he had a boost of faith, took his glasses off and smashed his glasses and God healed his eyes. I had no revelation of healing. I just said, hey, if God will do it for him, God will do it for me. So I took my glasses off, smashed them on the floor, and that night on the way home I realized I was a lethal weapon. I was going to kill somebody driving home that night. I did not have faith for that healing and didn't even understand how to get healing at that time. I was just mimicking what somebody else said. I'll give you an example. One time I was staying at a friend's house, and about 5:30 in the morning the telephone began to ring. And it rang and rang and rang and rang, and nobody answered the phone. Finally, I began to count the rings, 35, 38, 40. And when it hit 40, I said, that's it. If nobody else is going to answer the phone, I'll answer the phone. So I got up and put on my clothes, walked up the steps, walked toward the kitchen. The phone was still ringing. Reached out and answered the phone. And when I held the phone in my hand, the phone continued to ring. And I looked to my side, and there was a bird cage that was covered. I pulled the cover off the cage, and there was a parrot. And it was the parrot ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing, just like the phone. It sounded like a phone, but it was not a phone. And a lot of people say things which sound like confessions of faith, but they're just parroting or mimicking what somebody else said. A real profession has to come from the heart. And in fact, the word profession, homologion, sometimes translated as the word confession, it's the picture of your heart beating in syncopation with God. You see it like God sees it. You feel it like God sees it. You have come into alignment with God, and now that you're in alignment with God about your healing, you're in alignment with God about your finances or some other issue, now you're in a position for faith to speak from the heart. And when it comes from the heart, that's when mountains begin to supernaturally move. So if you're declaring something by faith and it's not working, maybe you need to check yourself out. Have you taken time to let that revelation get into your heart, or are you just parroting something because that's just what you read or you heard someone else say it? True profession comes from the heart.